What's up, guys? This is going to be DC's Bailey coming right back at you after taking a little bit of a time off. I am sorry for that. I did have a little bit of a health scare over the last month and needed to take the time off to kind of get my head back on straight. But I am back right now, and what we're going to be doing today is the start of what I'd like to do is a kind of a fan casting, recasting. Of the what we know as the DC extended universe, what I like to refer to as the DCCU, the DC Cinematic Universe. And to start things off, we're going to be starting off with probably one of, in my opinion, the start of the comic book industry as a superhero genre, which is going to be Superman's family, and not just any family, but his Kryptonian and Smallville family. So let's get things started today. And what we're going to be doing is starting off with the father of Clark as Jor-El. And as much of a fan as I was of Russell Crowe's casting in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, I wasn't kind of a fan of the portrayal and the kind of area that Snyder went with it. I'm more of a fan of a younger kind of Jor-El and Laura. I do kind of feel as if the Kryptonian culture shouldn't be as militaristic, where everybody knows how to fight like he did in that movie. Jor-El has always been kind of a not exactly a pacifist, but he's always kind of felt that violence in the manner that was portrayed in that movie was kind of like last resort kind of a thing. And I do want to go with somebody that I feel like kind of portrays that aspect of the character a little bit better than what we had. And in regards to that, I am going to be casting Tom Welling from what is one of my favorite portrayals of the Superman character from Smallville. I do absolutely love Tom Welling. I feel like he's a tremendous actor. He's one of the best portrayals of, I can't really say Superman because we never really got Superman in Smallville, but he's been one of the best portrayals of the Clark Kent proto-Superman character that we've ever had, compared to, say, like Christopher Reeves, Dean Cain, Brandon Routh, and Henry Cavill. I'm not going to say he's the best, because there is aspects of the character that I wasn't a big fan of. There are aspects of the other actors that I have been fans of. But I really do love Tom Welling's character portrayal that he's had, again, with Clark Kent. And then his portrayal of in Lucifer. So I really do feel like he would be a really great pick to take on this role of Jor-El, who is incredibly wise. He's somebody that saw the destruction of Krypton occurring and never was really heard. Nobody ever really listened to him aside from Zod, though he went a complete different path than what Jor-El was doing. So I really feel like Tom Welling could pull from the lessons learned from the Jonathan Kent Smallville role, lessons that he learned as Clark Kent, and then pull a little bit from his character on Lucifer, kind of combine all those things. And I really do feel like you have this very intelligent, not authoritative, but somebody that I feel like deserves to be listened to, deserves to have that advice given. And I really would like to have slightly less of a Jor-El that was just a disembodied voice, kind of a cold AI like what we got in Smallville, but slightly a bit more of kind of what we had with the Snyderverse. I did really like the way that was portrayed. I'm really liking what we're getting in the Tyler Hoechlin version of Jor-El, where it is that AI that can interact. I would really love to see that occur with my version of Jor-El, with the Tom Welling version. And I really feel like he has that look. Grow out that beard, have a little more of that scruffy hair like he did have as Clark in the earlier seasons of Smallville. And I feel like he could very easily pull off a Jor-El kind of look as well as attitude about him. Now, moving on, we're going to cast our Laura Van, Superman's mother. And again, pulling again from the Smallville alumni, and we're going with Erica Durrance. Again, I absolutely loved Erica on Smallville. She is, in my opinion, the best version of Lois that we've had. Second, in my opinion, is the Tyler Hoechlin's version that we're getting on Superman and Lois, that version of the character. And I have always been a big fan of what we had in the Christopher Reeves Superman movies. But to me, the Lois that we had on Smallville was this character that really took no for an answer. She did what she felt was right. And Erica kind of portrayed that perfectly. And I really did love what she did on the medical drama, Saving Hope. I feel like if she were to combine those two characters together, she'd make an excellent Laura. And I do know that we have had her playing a Laura in Z, who is Supergirl's mother on Supergirl. But I really feel like she would be better portrayed as Laura. And I know we wouldn't be getting as much of action out of her, especially outside of, say, like a first movie, or if this were to be like a TV show or anything like that, that we would get kind of like what Marvel was doing over on Disney Plus. I do feel like having something that we've had in the comics and what's kind of been portrayed in media, more so the games than anything, is the statues that Superman creates of his parents holding up Krypton. Just having her likeness portrayed on that, something that we can see every so often throughout the seasons, or every so often throughout the movies and future movies, I feel like would be really great to see that character. And even, doing flashbacks, especially if when Supergirl is introduced and she has those memories of Laura and she has those memories of Jor-El, where we can have those flashbacks to her experiences with them. I really do feel like Erica could be that great mother kind of role, but she's also a very strong individual, a strong character who, even though she didn't want to give up her only son, she knew it was the only choice to keep him safe, and she did what needed to be done. Now, moving on, one role that I do want to kind of keep from the Snyderverse is Henry Cavill playing Clark Kent, playing Superman. I do feel like he does deserve a second chance. I do feel like we kind of were cheated out of a kind of a perfect Superman with him. Snyder really, I feel like, just did not understand the character. He wanted to go for a much darker kind of look at all of the DC Comics characters, which outside of, say, Batman, doesn't really work. You have Superman, who is a very bright, very inspiring character, and I really do feel like he wasn't all that inspiring in the movies. Even though we were told he was inspiring, they created the monument for him, and what we got in Justice League, which I may be getting into further in a future video, because I would love to have a kind of in-depth review of the Snyder's Justice League movie. But I really do feel like Henry Cavill does deserve a second chance at this character in a movie role or TV show, again, that is done correctly with a excellent script. And I feel like Cavill can portray so many aspects of this. the character between, you know, Clark Kent's kind of nerdiness, kind of offness, as well as the kind of Superman's kind of powerful, take charge kind of role where he's very inspiring as a character. I do absolutely love Cavill. He's done excellent work in The Witcher. He's a great individual, and he also has that look. I'm very kind of traditionalist in the way I like the movies to look, comic book wise. Cavill has that absolute look to him. He has that natural curl, which for some reason in the movies they had him slick back his hair. But I feel like he would be perfect for the role, and I feel like again he was just cheated out of it by an imperfect script, by an imperfect director. That again, I've said this in the past. He's an excellent cinematographer. I've never really been much of a fan of him as a director. Moving on, two other roles I'm going to be keeping from Snyder. Again, mostly because I feel like they were kind of cheated out of what would have been a great role for them. Is Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent. When I heard about his casting, I was extremely happy. I've been a huge Kevin Costner fan for years, ever since I was a kid. I feel like he would have been excellent to play Jonathan Kent. He has that great kind of almost Midwestern aspect to him. But yet he also seems like he was what was portrayed in the comics as this character who did kind of want to leave the farm, join the military, had all those experiences which he could portray back to Clark, and then came back to the farm and became the man that we know him as. I do feel like Kevin Costner was a guy that could have done those roles, but again, Snyder kind of wanted to go for a darker path. He kind of relied heavily on what was out at the time, which was the New 52 comics, which I have never been a fan of. I've been very vocal on that for years, ever since they kind of started. And those comics were extremely very dark in themselves. And again, they've kind of portrayed that in his role as Jonathan Kent, where he didn't want Clark actively using his powers. He didn't even want him exposing himself to the point where he could save his own life. And I feel like if we were to get a Jonathan Kent, which was much more comic book worthy, he would perfectly portray that character where he is that icon to Clark. He is that role model to Clark. Clark kind of embodies everything that Jonathan has taught him and becomes Superman mostly due to Jonathan's teachings. So I feel like, again, Kevin Costner would be the perfect character for that role. One character, again, I'm keeping from the Snyderverse was Diane Lane. I have been very vocal again, my support for this character. She was, in my opinion, one of the only bright spots in the Man of Steel movie. She perfectly portrayed the character of Martha. One thing I would like, though, is, to me, it always seemed like Snyder was trying to age up the characters. He wanted them to be portrayed a bit older than what they were, especially later in Clark's life. I feel like they added a few wrinkles to her character. I do kind of like having a bit more of a younger take on his parents, where they were young when they adopted him, and they're not too old at this point in his life. Yeah, Diane to me was just perfect. I don't really have much more to say on her role because, again, I don't have anything bad to say about her role as Martha, and I feel like she would, again, be perfect. Now, moving on to my last two castings, I would like to see Anne Hathaway playing Lana Lang. And I do feel like Anne would be perfect for this role. I do feel like she could have a excellent kind of chemistry with Clark, where you could see that they had that past romance. And that she's still not kind of over it. I can still see her character kind of pining over him. But yet she has kind of created her own life for her since he left. She's going to be a kind of character that is in the know. She is going to be a character that'll be popping up every so often until maybe possibly down the line in movies or a TV show. But she is a very important character to Clark because she is his childhood crush. And as everybody knows, as everybody says, you don't get over that first crush. I do kind of see her having that kind of strong role where she could pop up as she did in the comics as kind of the one in charge of Luther Corp when Lex becomes president or what have you. She could be in charge of the Daily Planet. Whatever. I do feel like the sky is the limits, and I do feel like Anne Hathaway would be perfect for this role, and how she could portray it. And finally, one character that I have been wishing for years that they would add, and I wish they would have cast this person, is adding Pete Ross, who is, again, another very important character to the comics, to Superman's lore. And I would love to see Chad Michael Murray portraying him. I do feel like he has had those looks. And Pete Ross, again, very important character to Superman's lore. Again, from Smallville, knowing his secret, he goes on to become a U.S. Senator and later Vice President to Lex. He marries, though they then divorce to Lana, which I would love to see Anne Hathaway and Chad Michael Murray's interactions. I do feel like, again, they would have great chemistry, and just to see the relationship develop and then disintegrate between them, I feel like would be a really kind of interesting aspect, and how it would affect the larger continuity of Superman and how he would kind of deal with those aspects. But as I said, I've been a huge fan of Chad Michael Murray for years. I was a huge fan of him on One Tree Hill, and then we had him on another show a few years ago. It was a show about Elvis and all them. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. But I feel like if he were to combine the two characters between Lucas and this other character, I believe it was Sam Smith or something. Can't remember the name. But I feel like if you were to combine those two characters, it would be perfectly for Pete, because Lucas was that very personable person, and I do feel like that would be perfect for his U.S. Senate run, and again Vice President. Though he also had kind of that destructive streak with the other show. He had the drinking problems, kind of cheating on his wife. So I do feel like these two aspects of the character, if Chad Michael Murray were to take the role, can kind of mesh those two things together, and you really would get kind of like the perfect Pete Ross, in my opinion. But that said, I'm going to be signing off right now. Do expect me to do a few more videos. Next time we are going to be moving into the larger world of it. We are going to be doing a bit more of the Daily Planet cast. And yeah, if you guys can, like and subscribe, comment below on what you like about this casting, what you don't like. If you have other choices, let me know, and I'll be back and see you in the next one. Have a great one, guys.